Am I on? Okay. Hi, this is Julie at Love's Beginning, and today I feel prompted to talk about the reality of ourselves and the communication that we do with each other. Because more and more I've been invited when I'm interacting with what I believe to be persons to invite communication um, between the two real beings, not the characters. So, if you look at our faces and our bodies, and if you think of the judgments, positive and negative, we make about each other's personalities or each other's trajectory through time and space, um, we judge our own, we judge others. That's all very superficial, and I'm being told, it's not real communication. Judgment is nothing. When we're judging, when we're placing a positive and negative value, um, I say positive in the sense that invites tension to come up, like tension that we buried, because when we're praising or lauding something as positive, we're often pushing something else down as negative, unwanted, a threat even. And truly, no threat actually exists. So I'm invited to look at the positive and negative judgments. And I'm invited to understand that nothing's happening when you're engaged in that, when you seem to be using the currency of time to be engaged in that, nothing's really happening. But the entire time, underneath, your spirits, or you are spirit, but we can also show up as differentiated harmonic beings. And so, in that sense, your beings, your spirits, are in constant communication, and that communication is love. So, I'm invited to remember that when I am interacting with anybody or when I think of anybody, to look at the levels of interaction. There's what we perceive to be interaction, a give and take, and then there's being, there's love, that there's the ever expansion, true creation of just love and harmony expanding. Um, this world is very distracting, so it can be funny to think of putting your primary focus on that. But I'm told when my primary focus is on that and not on believing that the character is doing and achieving as a separate entity, or the character is worthy or the character is unworthy. Um, when I come back to focus on home, that the centeredness, the oneness of us, or you could say the Christ, um, that is when this form is open for guidance to flow through it. So I'm told about guidance. At first, it's like we hear it more and we act on it more. And there seems to be a separation still, like, well, I hear it, I believe it, I trust it. I, as a separate one, take that action. I trust the guidance more, I listen to it more. So we're still having a sense of a separate one deciding to take an action. I mean, I could still take an egoic action in what appears to be an opposite direction, but no, I'm deciding to take the suggestion of guidance and to go with that. That changes over time as we trust staying at home more when we're in interaction with each other. That changes, and then it's just flow. There's no more guidance, because what we are is guidance. And when we realize the oneness of us, there isn't a separate guidance telling separate you what to do. There's just you allowing this expression of what you are and what everybody else is into form. And at that point, you don't care what it is. So if you still care what it is, um, it takes a funny form, just being talked to about murder. I had I had a blog post once called "Practical Reasons Not to Commit Murder." I think that's what it was called. There were two about murder right in a row, and it the premise was, in order to be truly open to guidance, You have to be willing to commit murder, but don't worry, you never will. um, and it wasn't that, you know, you're being prepared to be part of a robot army, a murdering robot army. The point was, if you're holding back anywhere, if you think a separate you could do harm anywhere, and you think you have to use fear to suppress this separate one who's bad, who's going to do bad, and that's why we wouldn't want to let go of that notion. But it really is a letting go of everything. Eventually, you let go of everything. They said that's not a problem because as you listen to the guidance more and seem to enact it as a separate one more and more and more and more, that sense of there being a time gap or a decision just fades. Um, but if you wanted to see that post, it just plays with our perceptions. It goes to the edge of what we feel safe doing. It goes to our sense of threat and letting go of the sense of separate self control. And so it's helpful to me in that way. The blog is lovesbeginning.com. And I think if you just, there's a search on the side, on the right side. If you just put in murder, you'll probably find what I'm talking about. That's a lovely, cheerful thought. Um, so back to interaction with other beings. More and more, I'm given the word beings, and that's reinforced for me. And I'm reminded that a useful metaphor for me to return to, if I am interacting or thinking about someone is the same as being physically with them. I'm told over and over again. So if somebody enters my thoughts and I catch myself evaluating them, putting them up here or down lower than I am, seem to be, um, watch for the trap, watch for the prison I'm keeping myself in, and look at the being with whom you're communicating in that moment. We're always communicating with all beings because love is one thing. It never goes away. It links all harmonic beings. We're all harmonic beings. But here in what seems to be this earth experience, we come into conflict with each other. And why? Because I don't know if I've told this story of making the world before, but I'll just tell it now because it's short. Um, we, as the one child of the Creator, said one day, what would not harmony be like? And then the Big Bang happened and everything exploded into multiplicity. And we said, oh no, what have I done? And there was all this multiplicity. There wasn't just the one child of the Creator anymore. And then we said, everybody hide. So we hide in meat suits, behind masks, and in personas. We hide in time. Time, it does not exist truly, but it's a perceptual hiding place for us until we realize that we're not in trouble for what we think we did. We think we separated from a creator, our creator, when that's not possible. You and your creator, me and my creator, we're one, and we can't ever be separated. That's not possible. But because we requested an experience of not harmony, we were given, and we made an illusion in which we could give ourselves that experience. So, this truly is a stage, and your person truly is a character. And the fascinating thing about your person, beyond all evaluation and everybody else's person, everybody else's character, mask, costume, is that they don't miss a beat. They do not do a single thing wrong, ever. And when you turn the whole purpose of time and space over to collective healing, you start to see this. You can get caught up in the dream and judgment again, but you start to see it more and more. Everybody's perfectly on time, doesn't miss a cue, and it's all in service of our collective healing. So if someone apparently outside of you appears to be doing something that disturbs you or seems to disturb someone else or seems to disturb or to even destroy the world, um, That's our projection. We continue to make this world, to keep this world in place, to keep our perceptions of what we call reality in place, because we're afraid. We're afraid of. So the thing to know about what we think this place is, and when I say this, I always want to say it gently and with a very quick remedy after I say it, is this is hell. But this is as bad as hell gets. Hell has balloons and skies and meadows and cake and hugs. Okay, so you don't have to be too frightened that you made hell. You made it because you were curious about what not harmony would be like. And there's only one of us, there's only one child of the Creator, and we exploded into this multiplicity and conflict. So now it's time for us to wake up to what we did, to realize there's absolutely no punishment awaiting us because what we think we did was only ever done in an illusion or in a dream or in a simulation. So every time you feel guilt or every time you attempt to project guilt out on another, which is what you do when you feel irritation, anger, defensiveness, every time you feel pain, you try to move it away from you, or you try to condemn yourself with it, um, you are remembering that instant when you were curious and then when you went into illusion. And instead of saying, wow, look at this dream world I just made, how about that? You stayed and you hid and you were afraid and you attached to fear, also your invention. You attached to ego, also your invention. Ego gives us a set of thoughts that keep us believing that the simulation, illusion, dream is real. So ego will always send out ego streams. It's streaming. It's streaming live. um, but it's dead. It's really nothing. It sends out a constant stream of thoughts to us that we can attach to and we can believe, that keep us attached to believing we are a body, believing we are the dream character. And once you see the function of those thoughts keeping you attached to illusion, you can invite in another set of thoughts. And the other set of thoughts has to do with reality, the reality of who we are and the reality of everyone else's. And you could call that set of thoughts truth, or my true identity, or God, or the Holy Spirit, or Christ, meaning the oneness of us. If you do not relate to Christian terminology, I can give you a metaphor that may help you bridge the gap. Because I grew up in some judgment of Christian terminology. To me, the terminology represented confusion or even negative judgment or even harm or corruption. So I had to get over that. So one thing I was shown about the crucifix symbology, if you think of the crucifix, if you think of a cross superimposed on a body, is it's the intersection of everyone and everything. So if you look at the heart center, the middle of it, that's the intersection of everyone and everything. Um, and you could think of, I'm not sure which would be which, like, one is time and one is space. Maybe time's this way and space is this way. The things we made to hide in, but they all meet in the heart center, in the oneness of us. So if you think of the Christ, that's Christ consciousness, that's oneness, that's just the reality of who we are, that's just love, that's all it is. And then if you think of Jesus Christ, you can think of a persona, a form, a being, a realizing that he was not the body, and so it was okay whatever happened to the body, and not the persona, and allowed the wholeness of the love we are to flow through him. It wasn't just that one, but that one is remembered, and that one is held up as a symbol, and and that one is always there for us in the non-physical. Um, that one can come in many forms. There's just the oneness of us. So you can experience it as angels, or whatever will work for you, however it can come through to you, maybe loved ones from what you perceive to be your past communicating with you, but there's all sorts of non physical, helpful communication that can help keep you on the track of um, staying in the oneness of us, seeing beings as beings rather than persons, knowing the reality of them and inviting the reality of those beings to come out to play and experience. So not only can you invite the spirit, what you are, love, to express itself through you, you can invite love to express itself through every object, billboard, television show, everything. You can get very playful with what you perceive to be your world and what you perceive to be love. You can invite it in through all the forms. You are that powerful because you are power itself. What we think of as power in the world, power over, is fake power. So if we just see right through that and we kind of go into the oneness of us and feel that's true power, and that can do anything. And to the ego it seems like nothing at all, but the more attention you pay to it, the more real it becomes, and the more it's given a chance to express itself in form miraculously. So as we give up our attachment to illusion and we um, admit to the possibility of anything at all coming through us and anything at all miraculous coming through the ones around us, form, assuming miraculous and harmonious forms to help us along, like all of time and space coming up to meet us and to help us heal. Um, so we're miracle workers. We're here to be miracle workers, but how do we get to the point where we're allowing ourselves to be the agents for miracles? Um, for me, it's every time I notice a tension to stop and to accept healing for myself. So I do that more and more often. Um, and so the technology of that for me is very simple. Something seems to disturb me. I stop. I take responsibility for it because the world I experience is the world I'm projecting. And if I'm disturbed, I'm projecting it. That's fear. I'm sending, like, through my eyes and through my ears, um, fearful images and sounds and experiences out there for me to experience. And then the fear is coming back to me. So if I feel any tension or disturbance at all, I gotta go in and I gotta talk to what I think of as my team, or like non physical beings who are all around us. And they're just always waiting for us to say, I'm ready to see things differently, or I'm ready to accept healing now. And when we've been attached to a physical world and physical cause and effect, that can seem like nothing at all. But then it becomes the biggest something. It becomes the foundation of everything you experience, and it becomes the foundation of your whole day. So that's stopping to go in and say, okay, I'm willing to accept healing now, or I'd like to see this differently, or I'm ready to have guidance come through me. I'm listening. What should I do next? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? What do you want my day to look like? Who are we asking when we're asking that? We're not asking anybody other than our true self. Our true self is love. And when I first started to hear voices and to have the world explained to me, it evolved the way I was spoken to. But the first thing they said was, you are a character in a soap opera, and we are watching your story with great interest. And what an opener! Because now I see what they mean about the stage and the set and the character, and how they're there watching, and actually how they can be helpful to us. Then later on in the journey, what they said to me was, we're not you, And what they said to me in the very beginning was the word hybrid, which helped me understand that I would eventually speak with their voice, or I would at times seem to be me and them. Or eventually I would just speak with a voice of oneness all the time, but I wasn't to be scared about that seeming to take over, because that's our true voice all along. And it can come through us in beautiful and harmonic differentiation. um, so we don't have to, if the ego's worried about getting bored, or we don't have to worry about that, because right now we're staying in differentiation, but we're bringing joy and love into that expression in differentiation. Um, that was a lot of stuff. I think I'm good for now. I hope some of it made sense to you and helped you. What's really strong for me is being invited to connect with the being in everybody, and to realize communication is ongoing. And when I put my focus there, what we seem to give and receive in form is very sweet, very beautiful, very healing, and very helpful. So thank you.